From the earliest days of civilization, when trade was built upon simple exchanges and the value of objects was measured not only in material but in meaning, the coin has stood as a quiet symbol of human progress. Among these, the humble penny emerges as one of the most unassuming yet enduring creations. Often overlooked, yet deeply woven into the fabric of everyday life. But imagine for a moment a world in which this modest coin holds a value not of mere cents, but of millions, where its presence is no longer ordinary, but extraordinary. In such a world, the penny transforms from a forgotten piece of currency into a relic of immense worth. Carrying with it stories of history, rarity, and hidden fortune, it becomes a reminder that greatness is not always revealed through size or appearance, but often lies concealed beneath the surface, waiting patiently for the right moment to be discovered. And so, the penny, small, silent, and often ignored, rises to take its place as a symbol of possibility, proving that even the simplest of things can hold unimaginable value. Asterisk from the earliest dawn of human civilization. When societies first began to form and systems of trade slowly emerged from the simplicity of barter, there existed a profound need for something small yet meaningful, an object that could represent value, trust, and exchange in its most tangible form. It was within this gradual evolution of commerce and culture that the coin came into existence, and among these creations, none appeared more modest, or more unassuming, or more easily overlooked than the penny. At first glance, it seemed to carry little importance. A mere fragment of metal passed from hand to hand without a second thought, often forgotten in pockets, discarded on streets, or collected absent-mindedly in jars. Yet beneath its humble appearance lay a far greater story, one shaped by time, circumstance, and the ever-changing perception of value itself. Imagine, if you will, a world in which this small and seemingly insignificant coin is not measured in fractions of currency, but instead holds a worth counted in millions, a world where the penny is no longer ignored, but revered, studied, and sought after with an intensity once reserved only for the rarest treasures. In such a reality, every penny becomes a mystery, every coin a question waiting to be answered. People begin to look closer, to examine the smallest details, the year etched upon its surface, the faint markings that distinguish it from others, the subtle imperfections that might reveal its rarity. What was once dismissed as ordinary now demands attention, and what was once overlooked becomes the center of fascination as this transformation unfolds. The perception of the penny begins to shift in ways both subtle and profound. No longer is it treated as loose change. Instead, it becomes a symbol of possibility, a quiet reminder that value is not always determined by what is immediately visible. Individuals who once passed by pennies without a glance now find themselves pausing, bending down, and carefully picking them up, as if each coin holds within it the potential for something extraordinary. This simple act, repeated countless times across countless lives, begins to reshape behavior, encouraging patience, awareness, and a deeper appreciation for the overlooked details of the world. In homes across generations, jars once filled carelessly with spare coins take on new meaning, transforming into collections of potential fortune. Families gather together to examine their contents, turning what was once a mundane activity into an event filled with anticipation and wonder. Each penny is held up to the light, its surface inspected, its story imagined. Could this be the one? Could this small, worn coin, perhaps forgotten for years, be worth millions? The question lingers, not just as a possibility, but as a source of excitement that breathes new life into something so ordinary. Meanwhile, beyond the quiet moments of discovery, a larger world begins to form around the penny, one driven by collectors, historians, and seekers of rare value. Auctions rise in prominence, where single coins are presented with the same reverence as priceless works of art. They're worth climbing into the millions as bidders compete for ownership. Experts dedicate their lives to understanding these coins, tracing their origins, identifying their uniqueness, and uncovering the stories hidden within their metallic surfaces. The penny, once the simplest unit of currency, becomes a subject of study, admiration, and desire. Yet even as its financial value grows beyond imagination, the deeper meaning of the penny continues to resonate. It becomes more than a treasure. It becomes a lesson, one that speaks quietly but powerfully about the nature of worth itself. It reminds those who encounter it that value is not fixed, that it can change over time, shaped by perception, rarity, and the stories we choose to tell. It encourages a different way of seeing the world, one in which nothing is dismissed too quickly, and where even the smallest object is given the chance to reveal its true significance. And so, the penny, in all its simplicity, rises beyond its original purpose to become something far greater, a symbol not only of wealth measured in millions, but of possibility without limits. It stands as a testament to the idea that greatness often begins in the most unremarkable places, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice, to question, and to believe. In its quiet existence, it carries a powerful message that within the smallest things in life, there may lie a value far beyond what we can see, waiting patiently to be discovered by those who choose to look just a little closer. Asterisk. As the quiet legend of the penny worth millions continues to unfold, its journey becomes not merely a tale of transformation, but a reflection of time itself, of how value, meaning, and human perception evolve in ways both subtle and profound. In its earliest days, the penny moved silently through the currents of everyday life. Exchanged without ceremony, its presence acknowledged only for the smallest of transactions. It bore no special attention, no admiration, and certainly no expectation of greatness. Yet, as years passed and the world around it changed, so too did the significance of this humble coin. As though time itself had chosen it to carry a secret, waiting patiently to be revealed, there came a moment, quiet at first, almost unnoticed, when certain pennies began to distinguish themselves from the countless others in circulation. These were not grand differences visible at a glance, but rather delicate variations, a subtle shift in design, a rare date stamped upon its surface, an imperfection born not of damage but of uniqueness. What once would have been dismissed as a flaw gradually became the very mark of distinction. Transforming these coins into objects of curiosity and intrigue, scholars, collectors, and observers began to take notice, leaning closer, studying the smallest details with an intensity that suggested something far greater lay beneath the surface. It was as if the penny, long ignored, had begun to whisper its story to those willing to listen. With each discovery, the mystery deepened. Stories began to circulate first among small groups of enthusiasts, and then across wider circles of pennies that had been sold for astonishing sums, their value reaching into the realm of millions. These accounts carried with them a sense of disbelief, as though they belonged more to legend than reality. And yet they were true. A coin once valued at the smallest fraction of currency had, through rarity and circumstance, become one of the most sought-after objects in existence. This revelation sparked something powerful within people, a mixture of curiosity, hope, and an almost irresistible desire to search for themselves. Soon, the act of searching became a movement in its own right. Individuals from all walks of life, young and old, experienced and curious, found themselves drawn into the quiet pursuit of these extraordinary pennies. Old collections were revisited, forgotten containers opened, and long-neglected drawers explored with renewed purpose. What had once been considered trivial now demanded careful attention. As though every penny held the possibility of transformation, the ordinary became extraordinary, not through any change in its physical form, but through a shift in understanding, a realization that value often lies hidden, waiting for the right moment to be seen. As this awareness spread, the world began to change in response. Markets emerged, shaped by the growing demand for rare coins, where pennies were no longer counted in numbers, but in significance. Auctions became stages upon which these small objects were presented with great reverence, their stories told with precision, their value rising with each passing moment. Bidders, driven not only by wealth, but by the desire to possess something rare and meaningful, offered sums once unimaginable for a single coin. In these moments, the penny stood not as currency, but as a symbol of rarity, of history, and of the extraordinary potential hidden within the ordinary. Yet beyond the spectacle of wealth and discovery, There remained a quieter, deeper transformation taking place within the hearts and minds of those who followed this journey. The penny began to represent something far greater than financial gain. It became a lesson in observation, a reminder that the world is filled with unnoticed details, each carrying its own story and potential. It encouraged people to slow down, to look closer, and to question what they might otherwise ignore. In this way, the penny influenced not only how people viewed money, but how they approached life itself. Over time, the legend of the $1,000,000 penny grew stronger, weaving itself into the fabric of culture and imagination. It was spoken of not just as a rare object, but as a symbol of possibility, quiet assurance that even the smallest things can hold the greatest worth. And though many would search without ever finding such a coin, the act of searching itself became meaningful, a reminder that value is not always measured by the outcome, but by the awareness it brings. Thus, the penny's journey continued, shaped by time, enriched by story, and elevated by belief. No longer confined to its original purpose, it had become something far greater, a testament to the idea that, within the simplest of forms, may lie a depth of significance beyond measure. And as long as people continued to look, to wonder, and to believe, the legend of the penny worth millions would endure quiet, persistent, and endlessly fascinating asterisk as the legend of the penny worth millions continues to spread across time and place. It begins to take on a life of its own, growing beyond mere stories of rare coins and entering the realm of human imagination, where reality and possibility intertwine in fascinating ways. No longer confined to collectors or historians, the idea of the extraordinary penny reaches into the minds of ordinary individuals, quietly reshaping how they view the world around them. Streets once walked without thought become landscapes of hidden opportunity. Forgotten corners of homes transform into spaces filled with potential discovery, and the smallest, most routine actions begin to carry an unexpected sense of importance. In this shifting perspective, the penny is no longer just an object. It becomes a silent invitation to look closer, to question assumptions, and to believe that something remarkable may exist just beneath the surface of the ordinary, across countless homes and communities. The search for these rare pennies evolves into a shared ritual, one that blends curiosity with hope and patience with anticipation. Families gather not simply to examine coins, but to participate in a quiet tradition of discovery, passing pieces from hand to hand, studying their details under careful light, and imagining the journeys each coin may have taken before arriving in their possession. Conversations emerge about history, about rarity, about the possibility that one small coin could carry a value measured not in cents, but in millions. In these moments, the penny becomes more than a potential treasure. It becomes a bridge between generations, connecting stories of the past with dreams of the future, and reminding all who hold it that even the simplest objects can carry profound meaning. Meanwhile, beyond the intimacy of these personal experiences, a broader cultural shift begins to take shape. The penny, once overlooked in the vast system of currency, rises to prominence as a subject of fascination, study, and even admiration. Scholars dedicate themselves to tracing its origins, examining the conditions under which rare variations were created, and uncovering the historical context that contributed to its extraordinary value. Collectors, driven by both passion and purpose, travel great distances in pursuit of these coins, attending exhibitions, auctions, and private gatherings where knowledge is exchanged and discoveries are celebrated. In this expanding world, the penny becomes a centerpiece, an object around which entire communities of interest are formed, each united by a shared sense of wonder and determination. The financial implications of this transformation are equally profound, as the value of certain pennies continues to rise to astonishing levels, reaching into the realm of millions and beyond. What was once considered insignificant now commands attention on a global scale. With transactions taking place in environments of great formality and precision, auction halls become stages of quiet intensity, where the slightest gesture, a raised hand, a subtle nod can signify the exchange of immense wealth for a coin small enough to rest in the palm of one's hand. In these moments, the penny transcends its physical form, becoming a symbol not only of rarity, but of the human desire to find meaning and value in the most unexpected places. Yet perhaps the most enduring impact of the penny's transformation lies not in its financial worth, but in the way it reshapes human perception. It challenges long-held assumptions about what is valuable and what is not. It's encouraging individuals to reconsider the criteria by which they judge importance. The idea that something so small can hold such immense worth serves as a powerful reminder that value is often hidden. It's revealed only to those willing to look beyond appearances and invest time in understanding. This realization extends far beyond the realm of coins, influencing how people approach opportunities, relationships, and even their own potential. In the story of the penny, they see a reflection of a greater truth that greatness is not always visible at first glance, and that the most meaningful discoveries often come from the simplest beginnings. As time moves forward, the legend continues to grow, shaped by each new discovery, each new story, and each new individual who chooses to believe in the possibility it represents. The penny, once a quiet participant in the flow of everyday life, now stands as a symbol of curiosity, patience, and the enduring human spirit of exploration. It reminds those who encounter it that the world is filled with hidden layers, each waiting to be uncovered, and that even the smallest object can carry within it a story of immense depth and significance. And so, the journey of the penny continues, not as a static tale, but as a living narrative that evolves with every passing moment. It moves through time as both object and idea, grounded in history, yet elevated by imagination, simple in form, yet profound in meaning. In its quiet presence, it offers a message that resonates across generations, that within the ordinary lies the extraordinary, and that those who dare to look closer may find themselves standing at the threshold of something truly remarkable. Asterisk. As the story of the penny worth millions continues to unfold, it begins to move beyond the boundaries of rarity and wealth, entering a realm far more profound, one shaped by human emotion, belief, and the quiet search for meaning in a world often defined by what is seen rather than what is felt. The penny, once a forgotten fragment of everyday life, gradually becomes something far greater, a symbol not only of hidden fortune, but of the unseen potential that exists within all things. In its stillness, it carries a message that speaks not through words, but through the silent power of its transformation, reminding those who pause to consider it that value is not always loud, nor is it always obvious. Sometimes it exists quietly, waiting patiently for the moment it will be recognized. This realization begins to change people in subtle yet deeply meaningful ways. Where once there was haste, there is now patience. Where once there was indifference, there is now curiosity. Individuals who might have hurried past the smallest details of life now find themselves slowing down, observing more carefully, and appreciating what they once overlooked. The simple act of noticing a penny on the ground becomes an act of awareness, a moment of connection between the individual and the world around them. In this way, the coin serves not only as a potential source of wealth, but as a gentle reminder to remain present, to remain attentive, and to recognize that significance often hides within the ordinary. Within families, this shift takes on a deeply personal dimension. The penny becomes more than an object of curiosity. It becomes a shared symbol of hope and imagination. Parents pass down stories of rare coins worth millions. It's not merely as tales of wealth, but as lessons about possibility and belief. Children, in turn, begin to see the world through a different lens, one in which even the smallest discovery holds meaning. They collect pennies not just to save, but to understand, to explore, and to dream. Over time, these small acts create bonds that extend beyond generations, weaving together stories, lessons, and shared moments that give the penny a place not only in history, but in the heart of family tradition, communities. 2. Begin to reflect this deeper transformation. Conversations about the penny shift from simple discussions of value to broader reflections on meaning and perception. Gatherings form where people share not only their collections, but their experiences, the moments when they found something unexpected. the stories behind their discoveries, and the thoughts that arose as they began to see the world differently. These interactions create a sense of unity, quiet understanding that the search for value, whether in coins, in moments, or in life itself, is something that connects all people. The penny, in its simplicity, becomes a common thread, linking individuals through a shared sense of curiosity and wonder at a more profound level. The symbolism of the penny begins to extend inward, encouraging individuals to reflect upon their own lives. Just as the coin, small and unremarkable, can hold a value measured in millions, so too can a person carry within them a potential far greater than what is immediately visible. This idea resonates deeply, offering both comfort and inspiration. It suggests that worth is not defined by outward appearance or immediate recognition, but by something deeper, something that may take time, patience, and understanding to fully reveal. In this way, the penny becomes a mirror, reflecting back to each individual the possibility that they, too, may hold within them something extraordinary. Even in moments of uncertainty or doubt, the presence of the penny continues to offer quiet reassurance. It stands as a reminder that value can change, that what seems insignificant today may become meaningful tomorrow, and that the passage of time has a way of revealing truths that are not immediately apparent. This perspective brings a sense of calm, encouraging people to trust in the unfolding of their own journeys, to remain open to possibility, and to recognize that even the smallest steps forward can lead to something remarkable. As the story deepens, the penny becomes less about wealth and more about understanding, a symbol not of what is possessed, but of what is perceived. It teaches that the world is layered with meaning, much of it hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered by those who are willing to look beyond the obvious. It invites people to reconsider their assumptions, to question what they believe to be valuable, and to approach life with a sense of openness and curiosity. And so, the penny continues its quiet journey, moving through time not only as an object, but as an idea, one that carries with it the power to inspire, to challenge, and to transform. In its small, unassuming form, it holds a message of great depth, that within the simplest things in life, there may exist a richness far beyond measure, waiting patiently to be seen, understood, and appreciated. In this way, the penny stands not only as a treasure worth millions, but as a timeless symbol of possibility, reminding all who encounter it that true value is often found not in what is immediately visible, but in what lies just beneath the surface, waiting to be discovered. And so, as the journey of the penny worth millions reaches its final reflection, it becomes clear that its story was never solely about wealth, rarity, or the pursuit of fortune, but rather about something far more enduring: the transformation of perception and the awakening of a deeper understanding of value itself. What began as a simple coin, small enough to be overlooked and common enough to be ignored, has revealed itself to be a symbol of limitless possibility, challenging every assumption about what is important and what is not. In its quiet existence, the penny has carried a message across time, whispering to those who would listen that greatness is not always announced with grandeur, but often arrives in the most humble and unexpected forms, through its rise from obscurity to a worth measured in millions. The penny has reshaped not only markets and collections, but minds and perspectives. It has taught individuals to pause where they once hurried, to observe where they once ignored, and to believe where they once doubted. The search for rare pennies, though driven by the promise of discovery, has become something far more meaningful: a journey of awareness. A reminder that the world is filled with hidden layers waiting to be uncovered. Each coin examined, each detail noticed, becomes part of a larger realization that value is not fixed, but fluid, shaped by time, understanding, and the stories we choose to attach to the objects and moments in our lives, in homes and communities. The legacy of the penny continues to live on, not merely as a treasure to be found, but as an idea to be remembered. It exists in the quiet moments, when someone pauses to pick up a coin from the ground, in the shared stories passed from one generation to the next, and in the subtle shift in thinking that encourages people to look beyond appearances. The penny becomes a teacher, offering lessons not through instruction, but through example, demonstrating that even the smallest things can carry immense significance when viewed with attention and care. Yet perhaps its greatest gift lies in the way it reflects the human experience itself. Just as the penny, once dismissed, can hold a value of millions, so too can individuals carry within them untapped potential, unseen by the world but waiting to be realized. This parallel transforms the coin into more than a symbol. It becomes a source of inspiration, reminding people that their worth is not determined by first impressions or immediate recognition, but by something deeper, something that may take time, patience, and belief to fully emerge. In this sense, the story of the penny becomes a story about everyone, a quiet encouragement to look inward as much as outward, and to recognize the hidden value that exists within. As the narrative comes to its close, the image of the penny remains small, simple, and unchanged in form, yet completely transformed in meaning. It rests silently, as it always has, but now carries with it the weight of millions, the depth of countless stories, and the power of a lesson that extends far beyond its physical presence. It reminds us that the extraordinary is not always distant or unattainable, but often exists right before us, waiting to be seen with new eyes. And so, the penny endures not merely as a coin, but as a timeless symbol of possibility, curiosity, and discovery. It stands as proof that even the smallest beginnings can lead to the greatest outcomes, and that within the ordinary lies the potential for something truly remarkable. In the end, its value is not only measured in millions, but in the way it changes how we see the world, encouraging us to look closer, think deeper, and believe that within the simplest things, there may exist a greatness far beyond what we ever imagined. Stories like this remind us that even the smallest things can hold incredible value. And trust me, this is just the beginning. There are many more fascinating stories, hidden secrets, and unbelievable discoveries waiting for you. So don't miss out. Hit subscribe now and be part of something amazing.